What's going on, everyone? So we finally got a decision with Ja Morant. Ja Morant has officially been suspended only 8 games. Ja Morant has had just this circus centered around him that just never should have happened. It was very avoidable. It was something that just was silly. You know, all the memes, all the jokes, all that stuff. Like, you know, they're great, they're funny. But in reality, this is a kid that could have lost everything for just what? You know, just making silly decisions, trying to run around, acting like a tough guy, getting in fights with kids, you know, brandishing weapons. Like, for what? Like, what are you trying to prove? What are you trying to do? You know, the Memphis Grizzlies, all you've done is hurt your team. All you've done is hurt your, you know, the relationships that you have with guys. All you've done is just put your team in just not the best position, right? Like, that's not something that you want to see happen with your star of your franchise. And nonetheless, you know, the Grizzlies, you got to credit the Grizzlies. They've done a great job of weathering the storm without Ja Morant, and they're going to have to continue that for the next 8 games. He will miss essentially the rest of this month. He could be back for the last Clippers game. They play the Clippers back-to-back. That last Clipper game of the month is when he should be eligible to return. Ja Morant, one thing that we saw is that he checked in to, you know, a facility to just get therapy and stuff like that, and immediately left it. I think that should have been something that was mandatory during this 8-stretch period, right? Because he needs guidance. He needs counsel. He needs people that can help structure him and give him that guidance, you know, because clearly he doesn't have that. If you're running around doing this kind of stuff, when you've reached a height that people can only dream and fantasize of, you know, you're 23 years old, you have the world at your feet, you know, you're young, you can do anything, you can go anywhere, you're the face of a league, face of a franchise, you're one of the best rising stars. You know, in 6 years, he's going to be probably a top 3 to 5 guy in the league, very likely, you know, at worst, probably top 10. I mean, some people have him in that range now, right? So he's only going to improve and get better. It's just silliness. For what? What are you gaining? But Adam Silver addressed this. He said Ja's conduct was irresponsible, reckless, and potentially very dangerous, said Silver in a statement. It also has serious consequences given his enormous following and influence, particularly among young fans who look up to him, which is spot on. Absolutely true. Sincere contrition and remorse for his behavior. Ja has also made it clear to me that he has learned from this incident and that he understands his obligation responsibility to the Memphis Grizzlies and the broader NBA community extent well beyond his play on the court. So, again, I hope he did. I hope he really does. I hope that this is just a little blimp on an incredible career, right? I want to see him have success. I love watching Ja play, right? He's just an incredible talent. And I want to see him have a long NBA career, but he's playing a dangerous game when he behaves that way. You know, Adam Silvers is right. I mean, you are somebody that many people look up to. Whether you want to be that guy or not, you do. And behaving in this manner shows that, like, oh, look, you know, like, look at this guy who I aspire to be. Just like Ja Morant had his, you know, the people that he aspired to be, NBA players, guys that he looked up to. You know, you have those people that you know, you have these young kids that want to be NBA players, that want to work hard and get to that point. And it's like, when I get there, I could still, you know, do this or I could do that. You know, you have people that are really living in struggle, right? That are really living in projects and just, you know, bad areas that, you know, you're Ja Morant who's living in the suburbs, living his best life and acting like you're still in the struggle, like you're not. You know, you have more money than people ever and could ever dream of, and you're in situations and have doors open for you that most people will never have. And I don't want to see him ruin this because he has a history of stuff. Like, this wasn't just like a one-time incident and it just like, oh, that was it. No, like, we've seen several reports in his very short career. I mean, he hasn't been in the league 10, 15 years. Like, no, and he's already having all these things that keep popping up, and him, being reckless and getting in fights with people on the street, and beating up kids, and all kinds of crazy reports that you're like, what? Like, why are you doing, like, what are you trying to prove, right? Like, I hope that he takes this in stride, because he got a slap on the wrist. The Colorado police, they dropped their case, so he's not going to have to experience anything there. And the NBA could have suspended a minimum 50 games if they wanted to. And they suspended him 8. Right? Like, this was a slap on the wrist by all accounts. And I hope that he realizes, like, okay, I need to be better. The Grizzlies need to do something. Like, they need to have, like, some, I don't know, security guy that they just have following him around constantly. If you have to have that guy sleep in the bed with Ja Morant, you have him sleep in the bed. Whatever they have to do to keep this guy out of trouble. Because at some point, if he keeps acting and behaving in the manner in which he is, there's going to have to be bigger consequences. And that's not fair to the Grizzlies. It's not fair to his teammates. It's not fair to the organization. Like, I don't care how great you are. If you can't handle it accordingly, then, you don't need to be there. There's other people that can be just as good, that can, reach the heights, or maybe not even be as good, but can still have an impact on a team and be available and show up and not have to worry about them, running around acting goofy for what? Like, what? Like, that's my thing, is I don't understand. What is he trying to prove? What is the point of that? What is the point of, fighting guys in a park and, beating up kids and, brandishing weapons and stuff? Like, that's a dangerous game. We have seen a lot of celebrities, especially over the last couple years, lose their lives. And he's running around trying to be a fake tough guy. He's running around trying to be a gangster for what? Like, there's real people out there that don't care, that will test you and will challenge you. You don't think people are going to press him now? You don't think that if he's walking by himself, or he's, out and about and somebody sees him, you don't think people, and I'm not even talking about, like, trying to run up on him and press him in the sense of, like, oh, let's fight. I'm talking about, like, you're going to even have just people just looking for a lawsuit. Because they know he's sensitive. They know that he's somebody that, oh, he'll fight back. He'll talk back. Like, and you have people that just, they have no sense of, like, this is inappropriate. They're seeing dollar signs in you. And they're looking at you going, like, oh, man, if I call him, B word, if I walk over and go and, like, spit at him or something, like, he's going to come at me and, he's going to try to beat me up, and I'll take that ass whooping for a payday, right? I mean, not just that, but you could have people press you because you're trying to be a game banner, right? You're trying to be a gangster. You're trying to be all tough. You out here fighting kids. You out here, brandishing weapons. We live in a crazy world that people, again, don't care. There are people that really are living in that struggle that are looking at you and going, okay, you want to play that game? You want to try to pretend like you one of us? Okay, we'll see. We'll see. And it's just completely unnecessary. For what? Again, for what? And this shows the value of vets. This shows why teams like Miami keep a guy like Udonis Haslem on that team, for 40 seasons, right? Like, and even if he doesn't play, because that guidance, that leadership, having somebody to come in and, like, be your voice of reason is huge. Problem is, a lot of these guys, they end up getting yes men around them. Because they want the new shoes. They want everything paid for. They want that bankroll, right? Like, they want to be able to live a life, right? So they're not going to tell Ja no. They're not going to, Ja, like, oh, hey, what do you think about this? Oh, look, we in here. Like, oh, yeah, that's great, Ja, that's great. Hey, by the way, I need like 10K. Like, can I get a couple racks? Like, yeah, sure, man. Here you go. Here it is. Oh, yeah, that's cool. You keep doing that. Hey, you know what you should do? You should post that on IG, right? Like, it's just like, it's silliness. It's silliness. Like, and that's the problem, is that he doesn't have anybody, based on the way he's behaved the last, several seasons and the incidents he's gotten into, and especially this was just the one that really got blown up and became high profile, which is even crazier that he thought it was a good idea to post it on IG. Yeah, let's go live. That shows you that he has nobody in his circle that aren't yes men. That shows you that there's nobody with the voice of reason in that circle. Because there's no way, like, there's no way he was hanging around people that were like, hey, Ja, like, that's not a good idea, man. Like, look, if you want to do what you want to do in here, do that. But why are you going to put that on the internet? Think about your career. Think about what you got going on. Think about, like, the livelihood you bring for you and your family and stuff like that. Like, like, you don't want to mess that up. He clearly doesn't have that. And he needs that. Like, I think that they should have made the counseling, I think they should have made the counseling mandatory. I really do. Go sit down and get some perspective. Find out what is going on. Like, why do you feel like you have to behave this way? Why? Like, what is it about? Like, I understand you got a chip on your shoulder. I understand, you want, like, that's probably part of the drive, but there's right and wrong ways to conduct yourself. There's right and wrong ways to try to seek that chip, and the way that he is going about it is not good. That is a road that could lead to a very sad outcome. And, again, I want to see his success. I love watching him play. I want to see this kid. He's a kid. He's 23 years old. Like, he has his whole life ahead of him. But, again, he's already high profile. He's bringing a lot of unnecessary attention to himself, and not in a good way. Like, this dude was just getting a shoe deal, was just at the, making $200 million. Like, come on, man, you don't need to behave that way. I want to see him thrive. I want to see him have success. I hope he becomes the greatest player all time. Like, I hope, I want that for these kids. I do. I love the game of basketball. I love watching these young stars, and he is one of them. And he's only going to get better, which is scary to think about because he's already really good. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully he learns from this. I really hope he did. I hope he takes this in stride, and I hope that he, becomes a better man for it. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Are you disappointed? Are you okay with the outcome? What do you think about Ja? All the points that I talked about. How do you feel? I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below.